Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? There's usually not a whole lot of stuff in the NFL world to talk about, but the Miami Dolphins and we just keep finding more and more ways to talk about your Philadelphia Eagles, but quite the
keep finding it. Yeah,
quite the draft trade to talk about last week. Two trades, both of course involving the Dolphins. One involving the 49ers. That was the Dolphins trading the number 3 overall pick this year to the 49ers for this year's number 12 pick, a first round and third round pick in 2022, and a 2023 first round pick. And then minutes later, the Dolphins turned around, traded that number 12 overall pick this year and the number 123 pick this year and the 2022 first rounder to your Philadelphia Eagles for the number 6 and number 156 overall pick this year. So really, and I think you and I were talking over the weekend, and this trade is probably the closest thing in the modern NFL to what Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson did in with the Dallas Cowboys with the Herschel Walker trades. Where you have a player, you make a deal, and you turn those picks into multiple picks over multiple years, and you just keep playing with things, and you move this guy, because I think I saw what it turned into, like, 8, it's a double digit.
I have it here pulled up, ready to go. Let me get it pulled up here. Basically, the Dolphins had turned. It kind of started with some trades involving Kiko Alonso. When they shipped him out of town, Byron Maxwell was involved in a trade that resulted in some picks. And, of course, the Laramie Tunsil / Kenny Stills trade brought some picks in. And since that time, they've started rolling those picks over with some other players and some other opportunities. And I think it was just a really crafty situation for Miami to realize, we're not there. And then they go out and they find, Tua falls to them. They're like, let's take the gamble there. Whether or not he proves to be the quarterback of the future, they seem to still believe in him. And why wouldn't you? Has a very short, you spent a pretty high pick on him. And at the very least, you want to get him some work to see if you do have to use one of these picks. But as of now, they've rolled those deals. And I'm looking at it now. In 2021, this year, 2 first rounders. They got two in the second round and 1 in the third this year. This isn't even including their day 2 picks. Or day 3. This is just days 1 and 2. 2022, they currently own 1 first round pick left. They got rid of 1, but they have a second and 2/3.
Okay.
And then in 2023, they still own 2 first round picks in that deal, including the one from San Francisco, and then a second and a third. So you're looking at 5 day 1 and 2 this year, 4 next year, and 4 the year after that in the first 3 rounds. And that's a lot of potential talent. And I think what it does for the Dolphins is they've gotten some flack for drafting over the last decade at certain times. And I feel like, they seem to have a direction now. You have less holes to fill than normal. The defense is looking pretty strong, and with a few extra pieces there could be really strong. So I think if you're the Dolphins, you've really set yourself up. You can take some gambles. You know what I mean? You have an opportunity to go, you know what, best available. We weren't really eyeing this position, but the guy's falling. You have the position to obviously – they're at a point where if there's a high first-round pick that they're eyeing and the opportunity presents itself to trade, they have a lot of pick because these are all going to cost money, but this is also going to be a lot of talent on rookie deals.
Right.
So once you have the talent on your roster, you have several years to make it work before it starts breaking your bank. So just a real good opportunity for them to kind of restock, reload, put some talent behind the guys that are already there and not really spend a lot doing it. And, kind of sets up well for them. So kudos to the Dolphins and that front office.
Yeah, I mean it's an extremely it's well done, and when you have that much capital in the draft, if you miss on a pick or two, it's probably not going to be as detrimental because you have so
Yeah, no,
many.
you have so many. Yeah.
You have so many picks, and you have the ability to move some of those as well. If a deal comes up on draft day, where if a team wants to move a running back, team wants to move a receiver, team wants to move, if you're if you're having trouble mid-season, at the defensive end prediction, position or something like that, you have the ability to move some of these picks over the next couple of years as well. So definitely smart.
Well, I guess not to mention the ability to do it mid-season.
Right.
You have if something you start to kind of get on a roll and realize, hey, you know what, this is happening faster than we expected. And there's a team struggling with some money, and you got money under the cap. You have the opportunity to roll some of these picks, maybe get rid of a guy that's not working out in the locker room, maybe unloading a little of your younger talent to get a more veteran guy when you realize we can win now. Because you're in a division that's fairly wide open. I mean, like they had an opportunity to win it this year, so it could be that opportunity as well. So you definitely have a lot of potential tricks up your sleeve with what they've been able to do.
Yeah, so let's before we talk about your Eagles and whatever it is they're doing, I
have some answers on that, so I'm glad we're going to talk about it.
Looking at the 49ers, because they're sitting at the 12 pick and they move up. Now, they have basically come out and said that they're not moving Jimmy G. This wasn't a move to make a quarterback play or anything like that. Which, I mean, can certainly be the situation, but in the same time, we've seen these statements from general managers and coaches and personnel before, and then you get closer to draft time or you get on to draft day, and those those deals end up getting made. So I'm not necessarily 100% buying that Jimmy Garoppolo's on the move, but I also I'm not 100% buying into the 49ers that they're sticking with him 100%. There has to be something, some position, some specific player, really. If you're going to move up from 12 to 3, you have to think you're making that deal for somebody specific. Do you think this is a quarterback move for the 49ers, or do you see them going somewhere else with that pick?
Oh, well, it's definitely. I mean, no one's trading into that position in this draft. With the number of QBs and the teams up there looking for one, no one's making that move without a QB in mind. Now, I don't know that I would necessarily call it a QB move. It's definitely going to be a QB acquisition. It sets them up, I mean, to get the third QB off the board, because it seems, it's obviously consensus that both the Jags and the Jets are looking quarterback. And, assuming that the rumors are true, I mean, obviously, Trevor Lawrence isn't off the board yet, but we can all just kind of count him. But then the second pick seems to be leaning towards Wilson. It seems that him and the Jets are on the same page. They're already talking. And that seems to be the pick. So assuming those are the two, it pretty much for Shanahan looks like it's coming down to either Fields or Trey Lance, both of which are pretty solid picks. Obviously, as a quarterback in Alabama that some people seem to think deserves to be picked that high, with his build and with everything else. I don't know that I would go there. I don't think anybody's jumping that many picks and giving up that much to draft him. But both present interesting things. Trey Lance has kind of that, rocket arm kind of prototype talent. But on the other side, you're looking at Shanahan, who helped build an RG3 and has had a lot of success with that kind of hybrid or more running quarterback or mobile quarterback. So the idea of Fields, if his kind of draft and pro days and everything look good, and his stock has risen in Shanahan's mind, to me, that's the craftier pick. I don't know. It's just thing you don't know what these locker rooms know and what they know about who trading who. Obviously, Philadelphia has come out and said they had on good authority that the Bengals plan on taking Jamar Chase to pair with former teammate Joe Burrow. and that was one of the reasons for them getting involved in a trade to drop down. We'll talk more about that in a minute, but the Niners may have heard something. The guy they wanted wasn't going to fall to the middle, rounds, and they had to get that high. And obviously, the Dolphins are never shy to move, and you can chat with them. But to me, this is definitely a quarterback move, not necessarily a plug and start. Jimmy Garoppolo has shown to be a game manager. I think that there is some chance that he winds up being traded. Obviously, New England's going to get talked about all the time once they draft their successor. But I don't know that necessarily whether it's Fields or Lance or someone else. With Garoppolo in place, if everybody's healthy and reporting to camp this year and you think you have a chance to win the West, I don't know that you hand it to a rookie. If you think you have enough talent to win, I'd almost assume they would start Garoppolo first.
Sure.
And depending how the season goes, kind of spot start, get some reps in. And, if you get into a situation like the Bengals did where nothing matters, throw your rookie in there, see what he does. What I mean?
So, if Garoppolo gets hurt again, and you're
right.
in
that.
That
don't know, and then you have your insurance policy.
You're in that situation like Dallas was in with Romo with Dak behind him, or like you said, if the the wheels kind of fall off the ship here, and you get into midseason and you move Garoppolo during the season, you have your successor there. So be curious to watch what the 49ers do with that pick. And now on to the Eagles, Sean. I mean, it kind of seemed for a good bit of the year that that they had kind of reserved themselves to look, the season is a loss. It is what it is. Now you move on from Doug Peterson, you move on from Carson Wentz, but you have this number 6 pick that you worked so hard or not so hard to get, however you want to view it, and now they trade back. And I get, you also gain a first round pick next year as well. So is this something as simple as, maybe the guy we thought we were going to get at 6, maybe not get there. And we're basically in rebuild mode now. And so why not add another first round pick to the mix? You swap mid rounders. Is this just basically, I'm not saying they're waving the white flag on the 2021 season, but this kind of a clear signal, and not that it's a whole lot of surprise, but the Philadelphia Eagles are kind of in a rebuild situation. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?
Well, yeah, and I don't know that it's necessarily a white flag. I mean, it was obviously a surprising move to some, but I don't know. I kind of overreacted at first too. I think I was kind of getting hype on the, obviously the workout and the measurements and everything on a Kyle Pitts, and kind of the idea of getting a Jamar Chase, or definitely having one of the top 2 receivers, most likely right there, maybe even your pick of the litter. I was kind of excited, and so to watch him move down, it's been a while since we had a pick that high. So, being able to get one of the profile guys, it was very exciting to me. But reviewing the trade, I think both sets of trades, all 3 teams, I feel like kind of got the best of, what was necessary for the teams. The Eagles had apparently had this trade kind of on paper worked out with the Dolphins. They were told to kind of wait and hold ship because the Dolphins were trying to make the double move. So they were, they kind of felt that for what they were looking to do, they didn't need the pick that high. And, they kind of worked it out with the Eagles. I'm not sure, I think a lot of people saw what the Dolphins got for how far up the Niners moved, and then for the Eagles to go down almost as many spots and then only get the return they got. I was like, yeah, I think the difference is the value of that 3 versus the value of 6. A team looking for a quarterback's willing to spend a lot more than a team, kind of just looking to go back up and have a stockpile of players. If you're looking at drafting a wide receiver or a tight end at 6, maybe a lineman, maybe a linebacker. You're not going to give up the farm the way you would if you're like, look, we're going to get our franchise quarterback here. So, I don't think that's the case for the Dolphins. And for the Eagles, they just felt, like I said, they had heard rumors that the Bengals might go Jamar Chase. I've heard a lot of people, and I would have assumed the Bengals are going offensive line, especially with the opportunity to get probably the first offensive lineman off the board with the beating Joe Burrow took and the fact that you lost him for a good part of the year. I would think that fortifying what's in front of him would be a focus. And we haven't seen him do that in free agency yet,
which is just crazy. Crazy.
So I thought that maybe that was going to be the case. Maybe they see kind of a lot of middle tier lineman talent, kind of a muddled pool of just there's going to be a lot there. But adding a Jamar Chase, you just lost an AJ Green who was almost invisible. You have some other young stud receivers. This would give you a big hands guy that he's familiar with and comfortable with. So I don't think the Jamar Chase pick is unrealistic. So with that in mind, they said, you know what, we looked at the talent and what you have enough holes on your team that you don't have to go, well, we really want this number one wide receiver, and if the guy you were eyeing up is going to be gone, they felt that the number of guys between 6 and 12, they obviously have more than 6 guys they're willing to draft in the first round.
Sure.
And they're saying no matter what order the guys go at, because a few of those other teams are going to stab at some quarterbacks, which by trading down, I think you've told Jalen Hurts, at least for the time being, you're the guy. But what it does, and people that thought they might replace him or oh, look at this talent, we might end up with a quarterback here. You've set yourself up with presumably 3 first-round draft picks next year. Let's assume Carson Wentz starts enough games and or gets to the playoffs and starts a game.
Both, yeah. Either of those scenarios completely believable. Whether it's
right.
him playing enough, the Colts should make the playoffs.
Make the playoffs without him.
Correct. Right.
You could start Jacoby Brissett, and I would still probably pick the Colts in that division. So, I think it's realistic to say you're probably going to have a first round pick, and if not, if they derail and don't make like it sets up where if they don't make the playoffs and Carson Wentz doesn't start, you're probably going to have a pick in the first half of the second round. Because if they're not in,
right,
they're out.
Correct.
So you're not looking at a late second round pick. So I think where it is, you're looking at those 3 picks next year, and it gives you that chance. Now, is there going to be it's not like you were going to have the opportunity to draft Trevor Lawrence this year at 6. So, not having a guy like that in the draft, but the Eagles have an opportunity next year to maybe use some of that and some of their second round picks to move up and get a guy. If they decide, Hurts doesn't look like the guy, let's go get one. They're going to have the ability to move next year and find him. And you have 11 picks this year. They have more picks than anyone else in the draft.
That's
so
a lot.
To say white flag, I'm not buying it. You move down 6 spots. There's still going to be a ton of talent, and you have 10 other picks in the next 3 days. I think the Eagles still have an opportunity to reload, and they're kind of in a Dolphins boat where they're going to be able to get this for a very little money, and it's what they need because they don't have any.
Right.
So
well, and let's be honest. Let's be honest too. Like if you look over history, especially recent history over the last 10 to 20 years, yes, there are superstars that are earned in the
people are panicking like
in the top
even
6
if it
picks.
was Jamar Chase or Pitts. Is it that unrealistic to think that one of those might bust?
Right. That's what I was trying to say is like, if you look over the history of the draft, yes, there are stars that have been made in the first 6 picks. But when you're talking pick 6 to pick 12, you go back over history, I don't think you're seeing a whole ton of difference in terms of NFL careers from 6 to 12. You're going to see some busts. You're going to see some guys that kind of hang around for a number of years, and then you're going to see some superstars. And
the fact that Eagles fans that I've kind of follow in groups and things like that are upset that we didn't land, like we're no longer in a position to get one of the top receivers or Kyle Pitts. He was so high on him. How many years in a row did the Detroit Lions draft a wide receiver till they hit Calvin Johnson? And even that one didn't help. He did. It made him relevant and was real good.
Made him relevant. He's in the Hall of Fame.
They drafted, I think it was 4 or 5 consecutive first-round wide receivers to the point where you're like, why are you even drafting? Like, What is happening?
Yeah.
And none of them worked. They just, proven college talent. They knew what they wanted to do, and they just couldn't do it. None of the guys worked out, and that's the way the Motor City rolls. And there's no telling, no matter how big or strong a guy is, that he's going to be able to transcend to the next level with the same level of success.
No. And I mean, here's the thing, like, and I know he's a guy that, I'm a fan of because he went to Notre Dame, but you look at a guy like Miles Boykin, who I'm pretty sure was a, third round pick, or a third day pick, excuse me, by the Baltimore Ravens. And even in his first year, he started, turning some heads, and now, he's, he's becoming a target. And you look at, a Chase Claypool, for example. I know he was a first round pick, and I'm going to pull it up here really quick if I can find it, where exactly he was drafted, but I think it was in the later part. He was a second round pick 49. And, he's basically become, the almost the de facto number one in Pittsburgh. You look at Juju Smith-Schuster, and I know Schuster was just brought back, but Claypool has kind of developed this relationship with Big Ben, and was kind of, whether he was a number one or not, debatable, but on a lot of those deep plays, on a lot of those end zone plays, that was the first
way more exciting deep threat and red zone option.
So whether he was a true number one or not, he was the guy that Ben was looking to first. If you were looking
truth be told, Deontay Johnson gets more targets than anyone else on that team.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one filling the old Antonio Brown role. It's not Juju Smith-Schuster, and people still talk up Juju. And I know the Eagles had an offer out there. It came out later, multi-year, much more money than Pittsburgh decided to stay. I don't know if he just didn't like where the Eagles are going. Seems like a kind of a silly maneuver. I don't think anybody knows where Pittsburgh is or where they're going.
Right, and Deontay Johnson was a third round pick.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson very low. Antonio Brown very successsul for the Steelers. He was
right. You don't have to be a first round top 5, top 6 pick.
And I'm gonna Google here in a second. Jerry Rice, I know for a fact, was not a first day selection.
Terrell Owens wasn't, was he?
In case you were, in case everybody was curious, Jerry Rice out of where was it? I know it was a tiny school, and it saluted my memory.
Jacksonville State, right?
Mississippi Valley State.
Mississippi Valley State. I knew it was one of those southern states. Southern states.
Mississippi Valley State, big football school, very well known. Well, what pick was Jerry Rice in the draft? Oh, he was a first round, following being selected 16th overall in the 1985 draft. So he was drafted way higher than I expected.
Terrell Owens was a third round pick. He was the 89th pick.
Can you imagine being an NFL exec and being, I really like this kid out of Mississippi Valley State. And people are like, well, yeah, there's a guy out of Georgia, though. He's real fast. Like, no, you're going to want this guy. You're going to want this Mississippi Valley State.
He's probably going to be pretty
Bill Walsh is like, I want that kid.
So, yeah. But I mean, it's, the Eagles, they're putting stock in the draft. And I think it's a smart move. You're making yourself, you have a lot of availability this year. You have a lot of availability next year, and to see how things pan out. And in news of how the hell does this happen, Colt McCoy signing a 1-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals. That guy's still in the league.
What the hell is even that?
To be fair, in the last couple of years, in spot starts with the Giants, hasn't looked bad.
No.
I mean, and to be honest, there's been a couple runs poor runs for Danny Jones that Colt McCoy actually looked like an improvement. And so for a kind of you have a risky injury, possibly laden quarterback starting situation, you want to make sure you have somebody in there that can come in and handle some snaps for a game or two. I don't hate that. I don't hate that signing. That's fine. But he's definitely up there. But the Eagles also showed, I mean, with the Juju Smith offer, and there were a couple other offers out there on the table. They are trying to use what money they have to land some players. I was disappointed they weren't as much in the Kenny Golladay sweepstakes. I thought that was going to be a good signing despite his injury history. Lord knows our training staff is top notch.
Yeah. Great talent. Not going to deny the talent, but man, can't stay healthy. But Sean, today also the NFL confirming and approving the addition of an 18th week, a 17th game, extra week of the NFL regular season, which honestly I had thought that
also
that was
great for our training staff.
Right. I thought that was already a thing. I thought that had already been approved, but I was wrong. So just looking over some of the matchups in the additional week, the Eagles get the Jets, the Cowboys get the Patriots. The Cowboys and Eagles get the easier ones out of the NFC East because the Giants get the Dolphins, Washington gets the Bills. Looking around the rest of the league, some of the bigger matchups added with that 17th game, the Buccaneers and the Colts, the Seahawks.
Yeah, there were some decent marquee games.
Seahawks and the Steelers, Saints, Titans, Cardinals.
Packers Chiefs is one for sure, right?
Jesus, the Caps are blowing a lead again. Surprising. Cardinals and Browns, kind of a big one there, and Packers and the Chiefs.
Packers Chiefs is
definitely
marquee.
the biggest of those matchups.
You think anyone's excited for Eagles Jets?
I mean,
I'm excited for.
I'll say Eagles fans probably are, if we're being
when it comes down to like jockeying for position in the NFC East. The fact that the Washington football team draws the Buffalo Bills in that last.
That's what I said. I mean, the Giants get the Dolphins, Washington gets the Bills. You know, the Cowboys get the Patriots, which could go either way.
Right. Well, the Patriots are spending some money, and presumably, I still think the Patriots are spending all that money because they play against the Buccaneers this year.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Chance to Bill versus Tom. He's like, I'm not going to get embarrassed out there. We'll bring Cam Newton back. And like, you said you didn't want to get embarrassed. Why are you doing that? But yeah, the fact that the Eagles drew the Jets, that could be the difference. Hypothetically in that division would be that extra game. But yeah, I was looking at that. I like the Vikings Chargers. I thought that was
could be an intriguing one. I mean, the Chargers have
Bears
to start.
Raiders could be a good game. I don't know if it's going to have any playoff implications, but it could be a good game.
I mean,
it's the Khalil Mack Bowl,
right? I mean, the Raiders were a game off the playoffs, but Bears made the playoffs, but you know,
should have been a game off the playoffs.
Should have been,
but it's the Khalil Mack Bowl. It's pretty exciting.
But I like the, you know, like I said, I thought it already happened.
Bucks Colts is a really good
with the expanded playoff, and you know, I like adding an extra game, and you know, an extra game into the mix.
Why not?
Obviously going to have
fantasy season goes 1 week longer.
Well, yeah, that we'll have to bump it back to what you know,
that's exciting. I get an extra week of fantasy.
Right, 14, 15, 16 instead of 13, 14, 15.
I'm fine with that.
Fine with that. But yeah, so the NFL adding another week this year, and you know, some decent games on the on that extra week for some playoff implications. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?